Hi everyone, welcome back. Those that are new, welcome. Thank you for your likes, shares and subscribes. I love you all. Today I am going to read out the notice of defendant's response to the State Alibi Demand in the Bryan Kohbergers case trial. So I will go through it. It's not a long one, so it's going to be a quick reading today. And I will pull a few cards at certain points to try to clarify what they're talking about here. So I'll get started with reading it out. It's the notice of defendant's response to State's Alibi Demand. Plaintiff and defendant, Bryan Kohbergers. Comes now, Bryan Kohbergers, by and through his attorney of record, Anne C. Taylor, public defender, and hereby files notice in response to the demand for alibi and in compliance with the Idaho Code 19/519 and Idaho Criminal Rule 12.1. Mr. Kohbergers notes that Idaho Code 19/519(4) preserves his constitutional right to silence as well as to testify on his own behalf. Mr. Kohbergers stands firm on his constitutional right as well as the statutory recognition of that right. Noteworthy is that an alibi indicates a line of proof by which the defendant attempts to show that he could not have committed the crime of which he is accused because he was elsewhere at the time. So let's just pull a couple of cards here on. Firstly, I find this interesting where it says, okay, that his constitutional right to silence as well as to testify on his own behalf. So they're leaving that open for him to be able to testify and saying that, well, he has the right to do so. So let's see at this time, now don't forget energies can change, but at this time, is Bryan Kohbergers going to testify? Is Bryan Kohbergers going to testify, please, Spirit? Will he testify? We have the Magician. Could only be some manipulation going on here, perhaps. But this also shows the action card. At the moment, it seems like he's definitely thinking about it. He does have a conscious awareness and believes he has the power to be able to handle anything that the state throws at him. He believes he knows all the answers. And he knows that he is a master manipulator. And he's wise. See the owl there? Has all the tools he needs. Believes in himself. Could be a narcissist. So at this time, Bryan is wanting to. So how do the state feel about putting Bryan on the stand to testify? How do the state feel about this? How do the state feel about putting Bryan on the stand? Ooh, justice. They believe, they're not too sure at the moment. They believe that it's their responsibility to make this decision, even though it's his right to make this decision. They believe it's their responsibility to know whether it's going to be a good idea or not. There's a big cause and effect here. They're deciding whether it will bring balance into the situation. And it is his decision. It's Bryan Kohbergers' decision, but it's their responsibility to let him know whether it's a good idea or not. So would it be a good idea for him to testify? Six of Cups in reverse. May not be here because Six of Cups upright is showing innocence. So in reverse, well, the opposite of innocence is guilt, isn't it? They're weighing up whether or not it will affect the whole trial with him getting up there. He does want to. He believes he has the power and the mind to be able to handle anything that's thrown at him. But they're just truly deciding at the moment. I don't think they believe that it could be a good idea. Okay, that's interesting. So on here it also says that Mr. Kohberger stands firm on his constitutional right as well as the statutory recognition of that right. Noteworthy is that an alibi indicates a line of proof by which the defendant attempts to show that he could not have committed the crime of which he is accused because he was elsewhere at the time. What are they trying to say here? What are they trying to say here, please, Spirit? A line of proof about the alibi. And the defendant attempting to show that he could not have committed the crime. We have 5 of coins because he was elsewhere at the time. Ace of Wands. One more, please. What are they trying to say here? Ace of Swords. Okay, the Ace of Swords, that shows a mental force, truth, justice, fortitude. The Ace of Wands is a creative force, confidence, courage, enthusiasm. creating an alibi. But the Five of Swords is showing hard times and rejection, ill health. So what I do believe they are saying here is for him to give an alibi or provide an alibi, he's actually not remaining silent, because he's giving an alibi, trying to prove that he was somewhere else, or attempt to show that he could not have committed the crime of which he was accused of. That's admitting denial. So they believe that it is stepping over the opportunity of him to remain silent if he offers an alibi. And this Ace of Swords, well, that's, truth, justice, a mental force. He's just holding his ground. Holding on to his rights, as he has the right to do, but believing that offering an alibi is actually showing them that he's pleading innocent, if that makes sense. So he shouldn't have to give them an alibi because he has remained silent. He hasn't told them if he's pleading innocent. And you would only offer an alibi if you were making a plea. Okay. See, it's very manipulative how all the law, how people get around all the law. Yeah, it's, I really don't know what to say here. But he's just standing his ground, standing silent, because that's what he wants to do. And by offering an alibi, well, that's saying that, he's pleading innocent, which he's not. He's staying silent. Okay. So we'll go on to read the rest of it. Defense, I don't know what this is, 27 a.m. Juror, proof of facts 2D 431 2023. A defendant's denial of the charges against him does not constitute an alibi. Yeah, so because it says a defendant's denial of the charges against him does not constitute an alibi, but he hasn't denied it. So he doesn't have to prove an alibi. But as soon as he offers evidence that he was at some place other than where the crime of which he is charged was committed, he's raising the alibi defense. So I was right. He stayed silent. And only has to give them an alibi if he was pleading innocent. but he's not. So as soon as he offers that alibi, he's raising the alibi defense. Okay, I think I explained that well enough. So let's go into the last one. Mr. Kohberger's defense team continues investigating and preparing his case. Evidence corroborating Mr. Kohberger being at a location other than King Road address will be disclosed pursuant to discovery and evidential rules as well as statutory requirements. It is anticipated this evidence may be offered by way of cross-examination of witnesses produced by the state, as well as calling expert witnesses. Okay, so do they have any witness to produce themselves? And if so, if they were to bring in a witness at the last minute, would the judge allow it? Would the witness be excluded? So if they, do they have a witness, and will they bring in a witness late? If so, will the judge allow it? A late witness, would the judge allow it if they were late? Oh, 7 of Swords. No, they're lying. They're just playing the game here. They're just keeping their options open. At this time, they don't have a witness to bring in. So, but if they were to come up with one last second, would the judge allow it to come in? Would the judge allow it? The Fool. No, he would. Oh, actually, yes. Spontaneity, faith, beginning, journey. It's his own discretion. It would be up to his own discretion. And what would this exception be, please? If a witness was late brought in. If they were to bring a witness in late, what would the judge's exception be to use his discretion? Ah, the Moon. Yeah, he'd look at it to see if there was no deception going on. Pretty much if it's an honest running late, like, look, we've been searching for this witness this whole time and couldn't get hold of them. And now all of a sudden they've appeared and we can get them in court now. Then he would use his discretion and let it in. Or, oh, such and such just came up to me and said that they can verify that they saw me at this place at such and such a time all night. And I didn't know, but they've just come forward. So he would look to see if it was, you know, some sort of deception going on. He wouldn't allow it. If they just popped up and said, oh, okay, yep, we've got a witness, and they had this whole time to be able to get them prepared and to be able to allow it into discovery. But if, yeah, so the only reason he'll let it in is if there was some reason for the delay. There'd have to be a good reason for the delay and no deception going on. He would truly look at if it was deceptive or not, and make his own decision and rule on his own discretion. Okay, so we have, yes, I wanted to talk about, what was this? Cross-examination of state witnesses. Okay, I'll just move these up a bit. So cross-examination of a state witness. I'm just wondering if they have anyone in mind. And what would they be discrediting here? So they'd have a list of all the witnesses now. So do they have any witnesses, any certain witnesses in mind to try to prove evidence through their cross-examination? Do they have any witnesses in mind? Any certain witnesses? Like, is there one witness they have in mind to be able to get exonerating evidence from? Do they have one witness in mind? And who would that be? Oh, Three of Swords. Okay, well, I think they don't just have one person in mind. It's like they have maybe three in mind. And what sort of evidence would they try to be clarified? Or I should say, what kind of evidence would they be trying to discredit from these witnesses, please, Spirit? We have the World. Trying to tie up the loose ends. Okay. So the in-between bits that they're not kind of getting answers about. Integration. Involvement. They may be trying to manipulate some of the witnesses by maybe pointing the finger at them somehow, saying that they know things that they don't know. Yeah, the loose ends. For instance, they may play on the fact that DM didn't call the police until 12 o'clock that day. Well, why? Why didn't you call them until then? What time did you wake up? So why didn't you call someone as soon as you saw somebody in the house? Why? See, that's like a loose end. And her story has a lot of loose ends. Bethany, we're not real sure about what she has told them or what her story is. And whether it does line up with DM's. Is there a line-up there? Is there a line-up between Bethany's and Dylan's alibis? Or is there something they can discredit? Okay. Thank you, Spirit. Two of Coins, juggling. Okay. Also, Two of Coins means not combining, keeping separate. The stories may be different here. There may be something that they can discredit here between the both of them. Maybe one saw something or heard something at a certain time, the other one heard something or seen something at a certain time, but she's saying she was in bed and saw nothing as far as we know. And Dylan's saying that she opened up the door at a certain time and saw him. Yeah, anyway. We know the story there, but it doesn't look like their story matches up. So they may be digging there to try to discredit the both of them. Well, how can we believe you if Bethany says this? And how can we believe Bethany if Dylan says this? Your stories aren't matching up, girls. What's the truth? Oh, okay, that's interesting. So for the last question, what do we have? Oh, okay. So cross-examining of witnesses produced by the state, which we just did, as well as calling expert witnesses. So what sort of expert witnesses would they be calling to discredit? It looks like they're just using a whole heap of discrediting techniques, which is what the defense do, of course, and it doesn't look like they do have a witness to offer. Okay, so what sort of expert witnesses would they bring in? We have the Page of Coins. Okay, somebody that can have an effect. Somebody that can have an effect on some sort of change. Hang on. And on what situation? We have the Knight of Coins. Being cautious, being thorough, being realistic. Okay, so they're trying to bring on somebody's expert advice, somebody that's thorough, cautious, somebody that'll have an effect on the jury, someone that looks like they can trust, somebody that looks practical and has a lot of knowledge about the Knight. Could be the car. The Knight of Coins, the shine, the light. The light, the night, the world. Okay, maybe it's somebody discrediting the way the lights shine on the car in the video. Maybe they might come forward and say, no, this definitely isn't I think it's a 2018 Elantra. No, it's not. I can tell by the way the lights shine on the road, this is definitely a 2000 was it a 2003 or something they were looking for to start with, or a 2005? Sorry, I can't remember the actual dates. But it looks like, see? And see, there's the deer, and the deer is always stuck in the light. He's shining bright, the light. They're going to bring in an expert witness to discredit the car, saying that that is not his car. The lights, something to do with the lights. And he will sit there and say, this is how I study cars. Probably these are the cases I have cracked before by doing so. I know this, I know that, I know this, I know that. You know, look very thorough and, very unwavering, like a hardworking, realistic person that's saying, hey, no, I know for a fact that Elantra 2005s point in further or further out or further down, or I don't know, but it's something to do with the lights. Okay, so one of their... Well, that's in their energies at the moment, so they're definitely thinking about bringing somebody in to discredit the car. An expert witness on the car lights. Okay. Oh. And the phone. Oh, that's car lights. That's the phone. It is. That's the phone. Definitely. So they're going to bring somebody in to discredit the pings. And they might have a bit of an effect here. And he may be saying, look, the pings aren't 100% accurate. You could ping from this tower, but you could be here. Or you could ping from this tower, but you could be here. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're here. Location. But it seems to me too that in the Murdoch case, they could actually tell when he was walking, how many steps he took, when he even picked up his phone and looked at it. So won't they have that sort of evidence in this one too? Do they have his phone? I'm sure they do. Well, maybe there's more. Maybe there's more here that this professional would be able to discredit. But as you saw in the Murdoch trial, when they went from ping to footstep to time, and they had it all, everything, bang, bang, bang. He was here for 20 minutes. He walked 100 steps. It was then turned off for 5 minutes. The murders happened. He then put it back on. He walked 30 steps and looked at his phone. He then picked up this phone and took it over there and threw it in the bush. And yeah, so I will be amazed if the pings are all they do have on the phone, considering what they had on the Murdoch. Like, surely they'd have the same sort of evidence. And this, I believe, would be the car lights. Bringing in an expert on car lights, if there is one. Somebody that looks at videos and is an expert at trying to see what sort of car it is in the dark, and yeah, but something to do with the lights and how they shine. He could be trying to discredit the car, saying, no, that's definitely not a 2018 Elantra. They might even show their own video of a 2018 Elantra and their lights shining completely different. Who knows? But then again, I'm sure there's nothing stopping them from being able to lift up the globes in some way or move them around either. So, I don't know. Will they be successful in discrediting? What about the DNA? Last question. Will the DNA even be in the court for them to discredit? We all know they're working on that at the moment with the genealogy testing and things like that. So I'm sure that they're going to be onto that. Oh, when we have the King of Swords. The DNA. The King of Swords. Now, the King of Swords, apart from, he's the one that symbolises the K-I-L-L-E-R. He's the one that symbolised Bryan in my readings. But the King of Swords is also very intellectual. They're analytical. They're articulate. So he's going to be analysing, he's going to be using his intelligence here to try to discredit everything they throw at him. His brain is working overtime. He's the man in deep thought at the moment. Like his attorneys go home. They don't work on it 24/7. He's sitting in his cell. Oh, I'm going to sneeze, sorry. He's sitting in his cell going over everything. He's got more time to spend on it than anybody, and he has the intelligence to do so, and he's very analytical. He will analyse everything, which he has the right to do, as long as he's, well, you know, it's just when manipulation comes into the defence, I think this is where, that's why a judge still needs to be there, no matter what the law is. Because you'll always get the manipulation of the rules, the exceptions of the exceptions of the exceptions, them playing games with one another. But yeah, that's interesting. Took longer than I thought. It was only a one-page. It was only a one-page response. But I think we got a bit of information out of that. I'm so ready for this trial. I think everybody is. Just busting at the seams for it to start. It's like, come on. So I will leave the reading there. Hope you enjoyed it. Love and light.